Hello and welcome back to Niche Tea, where we talk about drama happening in communities you may not be a part of. Last time we talked about the ongoing debate in the sea glass collecting community about the practice of seeding glass into the ocean. Today it's my turn. Talking about my niche. Talking about PokemonGo. I have been playing PokemonGo since 2016. I have 2 accounts. My baby account has its own dedicated phone. I am deep in it. I'll add my friend code somewhere around here if anybody would like to friend up with me in game if you play. Main is pretty close to max friends, but baby needs all the friends. Baby is grinding that XP. Please help baby. For main specifically, if you live in an area that is considered icy snow, please DM me. Please help me. Now, despite the fact that I'm very well versed in the Pokemon Go universe, I am 0% versed in the Pokemon Go content creator verse, and that's where today's story takes place. So let's start at the top. Pokemon Go is a mobile freemium game based on the titular series of Pokemon. You play as a trainer collecting Pokemon, doing raids, doing stuff with friends, all kinds of stuff. The really cool thing about the game, and part of the reason why I still like it, is that you are personally tied to the location of your phone. You cannot move in game. You have to move and be holding your phone, and your character will move. It actually looks basically like Google Maps in the game. So I always know where I am. Like if I'm biking or something, I can just look at Pokemon Go as I go, and I'll have directions the same way I would on Google Maps. I've personally really enjoyed the game from like a making sure I get out of the house during the day perspective, because I do work from home. And the in-person events they do are really fun to do with friends if you have friends that play. So here's the background that's relevant for today's story specifically. When you catch a Pokemon in-game, it has a whole bunch of different potential stats that are randomized. This includes what level it is when you catch it. It also includes a thing called IVs, which are basically its stats. It has an attack stat, a defense stat, and an HP stat, how many health points it has. Now, level doesn't really matter because you can change the level by powering it up, and that's something that you can do organically within the game. But the stats are fixed once it gets inside your collection. Whatever it has at that point, it's going to have. The best possible Pokemon that you can get is one that has 15 attack, 15 defense, 15 HP. These are commonly referred to as hundos or perfects. Hundos are very hard to obtain. There are ways you can up the chances of getting one, such as particular trade types with other individuals in the game. However, even in the best possible odds are just under 1.6% chance of getting a hundo. Another type of Pokemon that are very highly sought after in game are what are called shinies. Shinies are quite literally the exact same Pokemon, just a different special color that happens sometimes. I'm gonna be straight up with you. I've been sitting here for 10 minutes trying to find the best way to describe why shinies are so sought after, and I am coming up blank. Hundos, that's easy. Better stats mean it's better in PvP. It's better when you fight Pokemon in gyms. It's better when you fight Pokemon in raids. Shinies are just rare. That's literally it. You either care about them or you don't. And I do. The rarity of shinies is all over the place depending on the shiny. There are standard shiny rates for an average Pokemon that you'll find in the wild, but then occasionally you'll have Pokemon that are rarer than that for some reason that isn't fully explained, and then other times you'll have events and they'll have special Pokemon that's like, it's Pikachu, but he's got a cool hat this time, and so now the shiny of that is only available for those 3 days, and there's actually also a Pichu, and that Pichu can be hatched out of a particular egg that you can only get during that 3-day period, and so getting a shiny hat Pichu from that 1 3-day period is like the rarest possible thing you can get. You get the point. It's a big draw for Niantic to get people to pay for the additional stuff in-game during those events, and it works. Now you might be thinking, oh, well, if it can be shiny and if it can be a hundo, can it be both? Yes. What you're thinking of is the elusive shundo. Shundos are pretty much holy grails for most collectors that play very hardcore. I myself have literally 2. I haven't had the best luck with volume, but the 2 that I have are very good, so I'll take it. Oh. What happened? There is a Pokemon Go content creator who's one of the largest Pokemon Go players in the world, if not the largest, named FleeceKing. FleeceKing is, I believe, predominantly a Twitch streamer. As I mentioned, I don't watch any Pogo content creators, and that has nothing to do with them. It's just literally my attention span could not watch someone play this game. But as I mentioned, this guy is really big. He was actually the first person to hit level 50, which is the leveling cap in-game in the world. His collection is, I'm sure, immaculate, and he also has sponsorships that go along with the content that he's creating. Now, there's another guy named Master Warlord, who I also did not know of, who is a fairly well-known troll, is my understanding, within the Pogo community. He is someone who is very contentiously pro-spoofing. To explain what spoofing is, remember how I said how I can't move my trainer in the game? The location of my character in the in-game map is dictated by the location of my phone. Where the phone knows it is in coordinates is where I am in-game. Spoofing is pretty simply when you artificially change what your coordinates of your phone are so that your character moves to a different location. Why would someone do this? There's a lot of stuff that you can't do unless you are physically nearby to that thing. So if someone wanted to raid a whole bunch in one day, they could spoof their location to be where all the raids are. This is also very helpful if you don't live near places where lots of raids are happening. Another reason you want to do this is because there are regional Pokemon. So there's some Pokemon that only show up in Asia, in Australia, etc. And so people spoof to get those Pokemon because they're like, well, I'm never going to go to Australia and I don't know anybody who lives there who could trade it to me. So instead of doing it the real way, they spoof their location to go catch that Pokemon. As you can imagine, this is a big violation of the terms of service, and if you get caught doing this, you will get your account suspended and then eventually banned. Now, Master Warlord has a whole bunch of different accounts because as a spoofer, he's getting banned a lot. Apparently, according to him, FleeceKing specifically reported him for spoofing at some point and got his latest account either banned or suspended. I don't really recall or care. Because he and Fleece are such big ops to one another, and because he's so annoyed at Niantic because of philosophically disagreeing with them about spoofing, Master Warlord announced that he was going to do something to get back at both of them at the same time. Then the next day, he posted a video of him inside FleeceKing's account deleting his shundos. If you delete your Pokemon, Niantic will not bring them back. They're gone. That is well established. They have never done that. He posted the video of him doing this to Twitter with the caption, "Why be a king when you can be a god? Niantic, your servers are shit." FleeceKing was obviously devastated. He's put a lot of time and effort into this. I've heard that he doesn't have the best past, but regardless of that, I think we can all agree that this was not okay. And I would be really demoralized too. It's a game, sure, but like if you put that much into it, and especially for him when this is his job, people spend a lot of time speculating how this was done. A lot of people think it had to do with the account recovery mechanics that you can get into, though if he had it through his Gmail, there should be two-factor authentication involved. And Warlord claims that he did not actually illegally hack anything, including Gmail. People were blown away by this. Master Warlord's post on this got 3 million views. And of course, people were not amused. This is so fucked. He can't get those back now because Niantic doesn't do that, right? Except they did. Within one day, that man had his account and supposedly all of his Pokemon back, which is great. Don't get me wrong, but they have never, as I said, given that courtesy to anyone else. So this now leaves a ton of people like, you could do this the whole time? The whole time? So many people have had problems with hackers over the years and have lost entire accounts because of people stealing them for the money or just out of spite like this guy, and Niantic has never helped. And you can definitely make the argument that this guy, as the most arguably prolific player of PokemonGo in the world, deserves it if anyone deserves it. But it's leaving a lot of people still feeling pretty icky about the favoritism being shown here, especially because of how self-serving it seems because of how much money he makes for Niantic, both through sponsorships and just general promotion of the game because he's such a public figure. Warlord's posts on Twitter seem to indicate that this might have been the goal to put Niantic in an impossible position because they're damned if they help and damned if they don't help kind of thing. Personally, I think this cosplaying of Robin Hood is a little inauthentic. He was clearly really mad at FleeceKing and did this with the intention of hurting FleeceKing. Almost everyone who plays has some sort of beef with Niantic. They're not wrong in trying to hold Niantic to task, but like this was not the way. As part of the resolution, we don't know exactly how the account was hacked, which I think is for the best. Though as I mentioned before, there was a statement regarding beefing up the account recovery security, so it may have had something to do with that. Similarly, we don't know the full extent of all the Pokemon that were deleted and recovered. My assumption would be all of the shundos at least, if not the entire thing, and that they were probably all recovered. If you're gonna do one, you may as well do the whole thing, and I don't think it particularly matters. FleeceKing is happy with the result, and so I'm happy for him, truly. I just wish Niantic could get their shit together a bit to help the rest of us when we need help. I've never had this happen to me, just to be clear. I am not that important. I am just a weird lady with too many phones.